Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to my ultimate developer desk setup. Now, I am so proud of this and it's long overdue, so let's jump straight into it. I always get the question, Sonny, what do you code on? What is your desk setup? Can you show us? And today I've compiled all of the different things that I use in my setup in one video. And to make it easy for you guys, I've gone ahead and included a link down below in the description, which includes all of the products that I've showcased in today's video. So it's really easy for you guys to go ahead and upgrade your setups yourself. Remember, if you click through those links, it actually supports us over at the Papa Fam, so we can keep on making amazing content just like this, which you guys love. You know what also helps? A handy little subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and jump straight into the desk setup tour. First up, we have a custom L-shaped desk from a company called workspace.ae. They're located in the United Arab Emirates. The best part about customizing a desk yourself is, one, you can get it exactly the way you want it. So I've got it as a motorized desk, which can go to any level. We also have two cutouts, one for plugs, HDMI cables, USBs, all of that good stuff, and another where I can run the cables through the back, and all of the cables go neatly through the back cutout, which again, we prepared all beforehand. I've gone for a nice teal emerald color to try and keep things neutral. That takes me to the side cabinet. So I got a custom side cabinet built with the same color matching theme, and it's got a nice little handle. And what happens is when I pull it out, you will notice that we've got all of my chargers. Excuse me for the mess right now. I've got it super functional. But the coolest part about this was I was able to actually introduce power to this cabinet through separate cutouts, which were customized when I placed my order. Next up, we have the absolute powerhouse running my entire setup. It is the Apple 16-inch M3 Max MacBook Pro. So this unit's got 128 gigs of unified memory. So that's their new dynamic caching memory, which is super fast. It's got 8 terabytes SSD storage, and it's a 16-core CPU, 40-core GPU, 16-core neural net machine. I throw everything at this machine and it is yet to chug on anything or freeze. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with. So this is my absolute dream machine, and I've got it in space black. So next up, we actually have another MacBook Pro 16-inch M1 Max. And this is again has been fully spec'd out with a 64GB unified memory, 8 terabytes SSD storage. And this one actually belongs to Jay. Some of you may know Jay. If you do, drop a comment down below. Now, hopping back over to the desk, we have the absolutely beautiful displays. Now, I've actually gone ahead and got two dual Pro XDR displays from Apple, because what I find with these is not only is the pixel density on these screens incredible and the resolution is so high, I can work on them for massive amounts of time. I love this. My arrangement is, one is in a landscape orientation, so that's my main monitor, and then on the second monitor I have a vertical layout. This one is actually incredible for code reviews, game changer having this screen. Now, I did actually opt in to get the Pro XDR stands. I know they're incredibly overpriced for what they are, but they're just so beautiful. This is honestly a dream package to work with, so I'm very grateful and lucky. This is my 2-screen setup. I spoke about how I sit at this desk for hours at a time. How am I doing that without getting back pain or fatigue? Well, recently I've actually made a big upgrade to the Herman Miller Embody chair. Now, a lot of you already know what this chair is. It's considered the GOAT in the chair domain in a lot of aspects. So this chair is honestly super ergonomic. It's amazing to work with. This is actually a special edition of the chair, which is completely blacked out with white wheels. And it's actually a collaboration with Logitech. So that's why I was super excited to go ahead and get this chair. And it has this beautiful little aesthetic tag on the back of the chair. For me, it's the small things in the desk setup which make all the difference. So I personally love it. Since I've had this chair, I've never had any level of fatigue. My back is supported well, my arms are supported well, my posture at the desk has been amazing. I feel that all the back pain that I used to have is now gone. Next up, we have my mouse. Now, I actually use the MX Master 3 from Logitech, and I would highly recommend getting this mouse. Not only is it ergonomic and it stops a lot of people who suffer from things like carpal tunnel syndrome. For me, I've never had any wrist strain when I'm using this mouse, and also it has lots of different buttons on the side that you can go ahead and program, including a gesture control button that you can go ahead and use to swipe left and right between your windows. So this mouse, 100% 10 out of 10 recommendation from my side. Next up, we have the Elgato Prompter. Now, I actually love this one so much. Thought it was so cool, and we were able to get it early due to a collaboration with Elgato. So thank you guys for sending it out. Essentially, it's an all-in-one creator's teleprompter, and it basically allows me to keep my natural eye contact with the camera whilst I read out a script, which, trust me, comes out massively helpful as a creator. It fits onto the camera super easily, and it can do a couple of things. Firstly, it can mirror the scripts that I need when I'm shooting videos. It can stream chat when I'm on a live stream, and I can actually drag and drop any window onto its built-in screen, so it's basically an additional display to my setup. For me, it's an absolute game changer, and I've gone ahead and paired it with the Stream Deck Plus and the pedal to go ahead and make the ultimate streaming setup. Now, talking about the Stream Deck pedal, this was honestly something which caught me off guard, and I didn't think I would have much use for this. But you can essentially go ahead and customize each of the 3 pedals to do whatever you want, whether it's snapping a screenshot, opening a specific folder, or for me, it's actually controlling the script as I'm going ahead and reading it off the screen. So I can actually go ahead and say pause or script up and down based on where I press on the pedal. Honestly, so handy for streaming. And best part, it allows me to keep my hands free. Next up, we have a nice little gadget addition to my setup, the Stream Deck Mark II. Now, whenever I'm live streaming, you might be wondering, how am I going ahead and making it transition to the next screen where it's just my face on screen? I do all of that through this handy device known as the Stream Deck. And you can also have custom multi-step actions, which is really cool. Without this gadget, I must say, I won't be able to do live streaming the way I do it in the most interactive format. So this is actually, when I'm streaming, my right hand is actually on this device, and I'm actually flicking through the different options. This absolute recommendation to your setup. Now, I've talked about the Stream Deck Mark II. However, the guys over at Elgato actually sent me the Stream Deck Plus, and I actually use both devices now, and it's slightly different for a couple of reasons. Well, this one actually has a customizable screen that I can go ahead and swipe across to switch between the pages. In addition, it's got 4 knobs which you can go ahead and control. Now, you can go ahead and turn these knobs, click them, do a bunch of different things, and they can be assigned to different commands, and you can actually stack them. So if I was to go ahead and click through each and different knob, it will go ahead and stack through several different options. So you've got so much to customize here. It's actually so awesome. So definitely one that I recommend to add to your tech stack. Now, whilst on the topic of tools that help me be more productive, we have the Loop Deck. One, it looks so cool. And one thing that I love about it so much is its different several interfaces. You've got a few different dials and knobs that you can go ahead and turn. Now, I mainly use this for when I'm video editing. So I can simply scrub through my footage with the sort of big dial in the bottom here, or if I'm color correcting something or editing images, I can simply use the little dials on the top to go ahead and adjust the saturation, contrast, and it's so much faster and more effective than if I'm just using a keyboard. Now, to jazz up the desk, I wanted a nice light arrangement so that way it would look great for pictures and also just a nice bit of ambient lighting when I'm working. For that, I went with the Nanoleaf hexagon lights. So I actually have 2 different types of hexagon lights. I have the Elements, which is like a wooden effect, and then I have the original hexagon lights, and for both I got the 7-panel plus controller starter kit plus the expansion pack. In fact, I have around 20 panels on the wall currently, and I went with both the wood and the white because I wanted to have a nice contrast between being able to customize it to any color with the white panels, but then get this nice warm tone with the wooden ones. Now, it looks absolutely awesome. You can have random patterns, different things, and it can even interact with music. I also have the Nanoleaf Lightstrip under my desk, and everything can be customized through the Nanoleaf app. So next up, we have my microphone. Now, this microphone right here is a Shure SM7B. It is a quality microphone. It's such an amazing addition to my arsenal. And since I ever got this, I will never go back to having regular audio quality ever again. It just gives such nice crisp audio that it's honestly hard to ever leave this thing once you get used to it. Now, in order to use a mic like this, you actually need an XLR sort of adapter or mixer, right? So I actually use the RØDECaster Pro. Now, this thing is elite. If you're doing any form of live streaming, I can't stress this enough. The thing is so good. It has tons of different options on this device. If you are going to be mixing several sources of audio into one place, then I would only consider using something like the RØDECaster Pro. Now, with the RØDECaster, if you see me on live streams, I have headphones on. I actually use headphones for a lot of different things, whether I'm live streaming and I'm trying to listen to the feedback of my own voice, number one, so I can regulate as I'm not screaming at the mic, and two, when I'm editing or different things like that. So my choice of headphones is the Audio-Technica M50 XWH, and they're professional monitor headphones, great headphones, and they plug directly into my RØDECaster Pro. Now, moving over to some of the peripherals, the different additions to the desk setup. Firstly, we have the CalDigit. Now, I have the TS3 Plus. This thing is an absolute beast. Firstly, it has so many connectivity options, and it all goes through a single cable. So I actually have tons of things plugged into the back of my CalDigit, and not only does it deliver power to my MacBook, but it actually goes ahead and collects a bunch of inputs into the CalDigit and then feeds it all through with high bandwidth. So I've tested this with so many things, and it also gives you ports such as SD card, microphone in jacks, as well as like USB 5 gigahertz easy access ports at the front. So you can really have so much flexibility here. Probably the number one thing I would say in a desk setup that is needed. Next up, one of my favorite additions to my desk setup. Now, honestly, this completely was a beautiful change to my desk setup. Now, I've heard of this brand over time and I got to know them a bit more, and then I had the privilege of actually working directly with them. And of course, I'm talking about Grovemade. So Grovemade were kind enough to go ahead and send out a bunch of different desk accessories and items that I've gone ahead and put around my setup, which I'm going to go ahead and show you right now. But they are absolutely beautiful, and if I'm honest, the quality was so far beyond my expectations. I would definitely recommend them if you're looking in the space for something like this. First up, we have the leather desk mat. Now, this mat is so beautiful. One thing I really like about it is, first thing I noticed was the quality of the leather. I've used leather mats before, and straight away you've got, you know, fingerprints on them. It gets very oily very quickly. This one has actually aged really well over the test of time, and it's actually, if anything, it looks better the more I'm actually using it. So it's aging really well. This has been an absolutely welcomed addition, and it's here to stay. I'm definitely keeping this. Next up, we have this beautiful desk shelf in walnut. Now, the first thing you'll notice as well is just the finishing on the wood, and it also has a beautiful slide out drawer, which is in a nice sort of metal finish, and inside you've got this nice little felt organizer. Now, inside of here, you can see I've got loads of different incense burners, a bunch of hand creams when I'm coding, and a few things like my Apple Watch straps and some ink refills. So I use this desk shelf to go ahead and actually hold the iPad. So I'll have the iPad open, and in addition, I've combined it with one of the wood headphone stands from the guys over at Grovemade. It's got a walnut finish, leather on the sides, and I simply go ahead and pop my headphones on when I'm finished, and it just looks so nice. It comes together really nicely. Now, on top of that, I actually have room for my Mont Blanc pen. So I actually bought this for myself when I was doing a lot of deals in Dubai when it comes to properties or different big moments. I got it engraved with my name, so you can see really nice little addition there. I never truly understood the appeal of a customized pen like these until I started signing some pretty big deals. Now it's become a bit sentimental to me. You can be sure I'm using this pen to do it. Now, most times I keep this for special occasions, and instead I opt for the Grovemade brass pen. Again, finished in walnut. This thing is absolutely stunning on my desk. So it's actually one of the biggest compliments I get on my desk because it's beautifully paired with the slim brass notepad. So I actually opted for this. They have different sizes and different shapes of the notepad, but I loved this slim approach. Now, they were kind enough to send over a bunch of refill packs as well. And as you can see, I use this thing religiously every single day. Now, on top of that, they were kind enough to send over the wood wall shelves. Now, they have two sizes, the 38-inch and the 54-inch, but I got the walnut finish, and you can see it's just such a beautiful addition to my apartment and my desk setup. because I go ahead and I simply put the YouTube plaque on, a couple of candles, a couple of books, and it just creates such a beautiful, nice finish, especially in the backdrop of my videos. Now, two final additions to the Grovemade lineup. We went ahead and got the walnut MacBook Pro dock, and you can actually fit a MacBook Pro. It actually works really, really well. And it's got a nice felt lining inside of it. So that way, honestly, I was quite scared about sticking my laptop, especially when you spend a lot of money inside of these kind of stands. But with a felt soft lining, you really don't have a worry here. Now, the final thing they sent out was actually these nice little coasters. So I am a person, as I mentioned before, love my tea, love my water breaks. They actually sent out a bunch of leather coasters. I've got one on my desk setup, and I've got a couple around near the TV unit as well. And if you guys are interested, then feel free to go ahead and pick up your Grovemade items and products in the link in the description. So last on the list, we have the Zen's wireless dual charger. Not only can it charge my iPhone with MagSafe, thanks to the iOS new update, we can actually enjoy standby mode, which is amazing. And we have a wireless charging unit. So I use that to keep my AirPods Pro charged up. So overall, really, really great, practical addition to the overall setup. Now, a final bonus accessory, which honestly I did not know about until a very recent video by Iman Gatsi, is the Cinnamon Project's Incense Burner. Now, a simple trick I've had recently is incense. So what I will do is I will simply light an incense and I will start working, and I've associated the two together so well, and it is such an aesthetic addition to my overall desk setup. Not only have they got a really, really nice selection of smells, the thing that won me over was the burners themselves. So I actually went ahead and got this onyx on brass burner, and it perfectly pairs with a lot of my Grovemade accessories I mentioned earlier. And overall, it's just so nice to go ahead and you can burn it on one side or both sides to get a more intense burning experience. So that way, you know, the smell really does get quite intense sometimes. It's just a really nice touch. And for me now, I associate the burning and smell of incense with my flow state, and it really has worked well in just tricking me into focusing that bit extra. Now, of course, with all this coding, all this work, you need to keep hydrated. So this is where the LaCie self-cleaning water bottle comes into play. It's got a built-in purifier with a button click. And yes, I'm not gonna lie, this is the most bougie water bottle you can imagine. I went for the 750 liter obsidian black color variant, and it's actually insulated, so it keeps the water cool for 24 hours. When you're coding for massive periods at a time, you should be definitely having a water break at, you know, a couple of different points. So overall, a really awesome water bottle. But there has actually been a bottle which has taken my eye a little bit better, and that is the Corkcicle Cold Cup XL. I actually have the white edition right here, and honestly, it's such an awesome bottle for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's an insulated tumbler with a handle, so it's just really handy to carry around this thing. And the best part is that the actual angle dives in at the bottom. This actually fits perfectly into most car cup holders. Even has a spill-proof center line. I wouldn't test it, so honestly, there's been times where it leaks slightly, but it's actually got a straw as well built in. And I can tell you right now that just by having a built-in straw, I drink probably 2 to 3 times more water a day. And I can tell you right now, if you haven't ever used one of these, go buy one right now. The handle makes it easy to carry on the go, and it keeps your water ice cold. Absolutely something I wish I had in the beginning. And it sounds so silly, but screwing a cap off versus drinking straight from the straw is such a game changer in terms of making you drink more water. Don't knock it until you tried it. And on this topic of water, if you know me really well, I have all of this gear in the apartment, but there is something that excites me more than anything. And of course, it's the Philips bottom loading water dispenser. Now in Dubai, you can get your water delivered in gallons. So I basically will get a gallon delivered every Wednesday, and I will simply go ahead and pop it underneath this water dispenser. But the really awesome feature about this is you get boiling hot water straight from the tap, and you can go ahead and get room temperature or ice cold water as well. And whilst it does all of this, it purifies the water with UV. So it keeps me super hydrated, so that way I can focus on what I need to do best. So next up, when I'm on the move or when I'm actually editing at my desk and I don't want to use, you know, my Audio Technica headphones, sometimes I tend to default to the Apple Airpods Max. Now these headphones are amazing. I've got them underneath my nice little Grovemade cabinet here, and honestly, they're so comfortable. I can wear them for ages and ages at a time. So I would definitely recommend the Apple AirPods Pro Max. I have them in space gray. Now next up is my phone. Now my phone is probably arguably one of the most important things in my setup. I actually use the iPhone 15 Pro Max 1TB version, and for me, absolutely amazing phone. Now the reason why I stick to iPhone is because one, I way more prefer the usability over Android phones. Plus, I have an Apple ecosystem if you can't tell already. So everything plays together well and it's just seamless to connect between devices. Now, next up, we have the Apple Vision Pro. Yes, your boy went ahead and got it. I had to go ahead and jump into the Apple ecosystem even more. I'm a sucker for it. What can I say? I got the 512 gigabyte and it actually has the Apple M2 chip and their new R1 chip. And I can tell you right now, this thing is blazing fast. Now, for sizing, I have the 21M size. And I would say if you're gonna get one and you're gonna shell out this kind of money for it, definitely go into the Apple store to get sized up. But a couple of cool things that I did experience, I coded on it, which was pretty cool. And if you want to see a vlog on that, then let me know in the comments down below. I edited one of my YouTube thumbnails and I can tell you right now, I got zero eye fatigue. It was really cool. I was sitting on the moon with the whole immersive mode and I was going ahead and editing a thumbnail. Crazy stuff. So I can tell you right now, the hype is real. The thing is absolutely incredible. Next up, we have the iPad Pro. Now I actually have the 1 terabyte 5th gen. And my iPad Pro has the M1 chip with the 12.9-inch screen. I haven't updated it since because honestly, it has more than enough power to do everything I need it for. I use this pretty much for everything besides what I do on my MacBook. So whether it's using Muse for mind mapping, to handling emails or reviewing code from the team in my software consultancy gigs, even using video calling apps such as Zoom, whether it be business or family. Now, next up in the tech stack, we have my Whoop 4.0 band. Now, I actually use this just mainly for training. In fact, it's more focused on the recovery side. I've got the Onyx with gold colorway. They have lots of different color options. And as you know, I love fitness. And this little gadget is honestly perfect for tracking my health and sleeping habits. Much more, I would say, than my Apple Watch. Apple Watch tends to overcalculate your calories burned, all of this stuff, whereas this thing actually gives you a bit of a reality check. And the best part, it feeds all of the health metrics right into my health app on my iPhone. Now, while we're on the topic of Apple products, I actually wear 2 Apple Watches. Yes, you might be wondering, it's bloody overkill. The reason why is because I actually had the Apple Watch Series 8. This was a really cool watch for the longest time. Then the Ultra came out, and honestly for me, it was simple things like the battery life, which made me jump over to that side of life. And I promise you this, for training, for more robust use cases, for daily wear, the Ultra is absolutely way better. So little things like that help me day to day. Now, wrapping it up for the Apple ecosystem, I have the Apple HomePod, the 2nd generation in black. Now, this was honestly more because I didn't want massive studio monitors because I have a more powerful system, which I'll talk about in a second, but I simply use this just to go ahead and listen to some music when the laptop doesn't do enough. It's also really handy because I have a smart home, and that is why I wanted something like Siri, so that way I could go ahead and interact with the home in a really nice way. And the best part, it fits really neatly in the corner of my desk. But my main powerhouse for my music is my Sonos 5.1 Ultra Immersive Set. This thing is absolutely sick. It consists of a Sonos Arc, which I actually placed under the TV, and I have a Sonos Sub, which is a Gen 3 sub, and I have 2 rear Sonos speakers. Now, this thing is absolutely game changer in terms of sound quality. Now, it has Dolby Atmos, so if a helicopter's flying over you, you feel every single thing. I also have the Sonos Move portable speaker for listening to music in my bedroom. And if I can actually make a big recommendation here, something strange that I find helps me concentrate is when my music doesn't come from in front of me. It has to come from behind me in an ambient fashion. So it's a bit over the top, but it helps me focus a little bit more. So another cheeky upgrade to the apartment is an additional speaker to the Sonos lineup. So if you, now you've already seen, I've got a nice Sonos setup. We've got the Sonos Move, we've got the Sonos 5.1. But even better now, we've actually got the Sonos Era 300. So this thing, bad boy speaker. The reason why I wanted this is when I'm working and coding here, I am very strange. I find it distracting if there's lyrics in my music and I can't code to that. Or if the music's coming from the front, I tend to can't concentrate as well as if it comes from behind. It's weird, but I figured it out. This is what I do. If it helps you guys, drop a comment down below. And plus, this can actually become a replacement for the 1SLs. So the rear 1SLs, eventually you can have 2 of these instead, and then I can use those in other rooms when I move to a bigger place or different apartment. So long-term thinking with these, but yeah, I couldn't recommend Sonos enough. Now moving on to one of the creme de la creme pieces in the apartment, the LG C1 OLED 83-inch panel. This TV is an absolute monster. It's the perfect smart TV for gaming, for winding down, and honestly, the quality on this TV is absolutely incredible. I've put it on a movable swivel mount, so yes, it's a pretty heavy duty mount to move around this 83-inch TV. However, it's great for when you've got people over and you want to move this thing around and just angle it however you want to do it. All the cables, of course, are managed behind the TV, and inside of that, I've got a PS5 and an Xbox Series X connected. Really great to just take a bit of downtime when you need to have a chill session. More so than anything, it's just a sick TV. Now, I like to back up all of my data, my images, my videos, all of the stuff that I work on, and my choice for this is the G Technology RAID storage device with Thunderbolt 3. Now, I actually have a 24 terabyte device, and what you can see is it's actually got something called RAID in. Now, what this means is the way I've set this up is I've got 2 drives inside of there, and essentially it's 12 terabytes of accessible storage. But what it's doing is it's cloning the drive. So let's say one of the drives failed, it would actually have a backup drive that is then going to go ahead and, repair it. I use this in conjunction with Time Machine on the MacBook, and every time I plug in my Mac, it's always backing up everything constantly as I move forward. But what if you're on the move? So for me, we're always shooting. So what I tend to use is, firstly, I started off with this. This is a LaCie 1 terabyte SSD drive. So this is just a simple SSD, but the absolute king of drives that I have found has absolutely been the SanDisk Extreme Pro Portable SSD, and I have the 4 terabyte one. Now this thing, look how tiny this device is, and I can simply slip this in my pocket, in my bag. It has a keyring. This thing is so blazingly fast, it's crazy. So Jay actually edits off of this a lot of the time when we're on the move. You can go ahead and literally just plug this in and the job's done. 100% recommend getting a portable drive. Now, for the more professional work that we have, for example, whether it's lighting behind me like you see right now, I actually have the Nanlite PavoTube II 30X, and I got the 2 kit. What's awesome about these lights is, number one, they are so bright. It's insane. You can see behind me right now, they light up any scene no matter what you want to do. They even have a built-in battery, so you can use them without any wires connected at all. They have a 4,400 milliamp battery, so you can be super flexible with these things. But a lot of the time, I actually have it wired in. So right now behind me, they're actually wired in, so we can just turn them on and off using the handy Nanlink app. I actually went ahead and did this myself, and I fitted one of the PavoTubes under my wall shelf from Grovemade, and I can go ahead and remove it whenever we need to take it outside. Honestly, if you need some handy lights that are at a professional level, I could not recommend these lights enough. Now, more importantly, when I'm shooting content just like this, I need a key light. So what you're seeing right now is the Elgato Key Light Mark II, which is pretty much highlighting my face on camera, and it's my go-to light. This thing is absolutely awesome. It's only 35 millimeters thin, so it fits so well onto my desk setup, and it has a ball mount underneath for easy adjustments, so you can keep it vertical, horizontal, whatever you want to do. It even has a clamp that fits to the edge of the desk, so it remains still no matter what I'm doing on the desk. I even have it linked to the Stream Deck Plus, so I can go ahead and adjust the light with ease, switch it on and off, even adjust the temperatures. This is probably one of the most handy lights ever, and again, it has a diffusion panel in front of it, so you get that nice gentle light onto your face. Now, that's actually the lights that I actually upgraded towards, but what about the lights that I started with? Well, I actually started off with this tiny aperture light, and it's called the MC RGB on camera LED light. And this thing is absolutely so versatile, it's incredible. I still use it to this day, and I use it whenever I need extra lights or whenever I'm shooting on the go. It's super tiny and easy to fit in any bag, and it's rechargeable, and it has a bunch of different super cool effects that you can go ahead and use. So this one's a great choice if you need a soft light on a budget. Now, more importantly, how the hell do I light up the entire space in my apartment? This is probably one which I took more personally, because I wanted my entire apartment to have, ambient lighting as opposed to above lighting. I absolutely hate above lighting. I have this set up inside of my bedroom and inside of the main room in my apartment. And this, of course, is the Philips Hue Lights. Now, my setup consists of 2 Hue irises that I have underneath my couches. I have a Hue light strip underneath my TV cabinet, a Hue gradient light strip behind the TV, which is absolutely beautiful and stands out. It's probably, I get most compliments from that light. We have the Hue Go, which, as you can see in the name, is a portable light. You can actually unplug it and it's got a built-in battery. And then we have my most recent additions, which is the two Signet gradient lights, which is my nice sort of addition to my desk setups. This completely brings my desk to life, especially at nighttime, and it kind of rests my eyes a little bit because there's a bit of an ambient light behind my screen. And the best part about this, all of these smart home services are perfectly compatible with it. So I actually use Apple HomeKit and I have a ton of different automations. For example, when my alarms go off, certain lights turn on and the curtains open, all this cool stuff happens. Whatever you currently have in your house, these lights are pretty much plug and play. So moving over to the cameras in my setup, we have three full frame cameras. We have the Sony a7S Mark III. This is by far my favorite camera. It's also the most expensive because it has the most functionality. We have the a7C, again, a full frame Sony camera, amazing, bit more versatile. You can run around with it. It's more of a compact version of the camera, hence the C. And then we have my third full frame camera, which is the ZV-E1. It can do a lot of the things my a7S Mark III can do, but it's just a lot lighter and I can actually carry it around a lot easier. Now, with all of these awesome big cameras, we need to go ahead and stabilize them sometimes more than what the Embody camera stabilization is capable of. This is where a powered gimbal comes in clutch. So I actually have the DJI Ronin S2, which is a 3-axis camera stabilizer, also known as a gimbal. I actually use it for my main camera, but to be honest with you, most of the time it's used as a stand because it's the perfect height for me recording these videos right now. But if I ever need to go out and about and get some super smooth 6 shots for any of our client work that we do, I will go ahead and take this thing. It's made of carbon fiber, so it's actually pretty light. And I would recommend that if you use a gimbal like this, you should learn how to correctly balance the gimbal so that way they work perfectly with the motors based on how and where your camera weight is placed. This is definitely a recommendation, and I would recommend you check out their newer versions if you're in the market to grab yourself a gimbal. Next up, we have my handheld cameras, 2 handheld cameras. I have a ZV-1 and I have a Canon G7X. Now the Canon G7X was my first ever camera that I owned. You'll see if you go all the way back into my early YouTube videos, the videos that I was shooting back in those days was actually on a Canon G7X, and it's so handy. Like if you're starting a YouTube channel, I'd highly recommend these kind of cameras as an addition to your setup. And lastly, we have my action cameras. I have GoPros. Now GoPros are my absolute favorite. I started with the Hero 8 and that was an amazing device, and then the Hero 10 came out, and honestly it's just the stability that you get from a GoPro when you're running around as fast as you can run with the audio being crisp, and you don't have to worry about if you get the shot or not. It's always reliable. So GoPros for me, absolutely fantastic when I don't want to worry about content creating process and I just want to capture an experience. So we actually have one more camera in the arsenal, very new addition. It's just a really amazing small pocket device, and that's where the name actually came from. It's the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I can literally pull this thing out, flip the screen open and just start shooting, and it has a 3-axis gimbal, which means that even if I'm running with this thing, it gets a GoPro like stable footage and it shoots in 4K 120 FPS. Wicked addition to my tech stack, and it's actually one of my favorite devices to play with lately. Now the first 3 cameras that I mentioned that were full frame cameras require lenses. Now my first lens, which is my absolute favorite, is the Sony 16 to 35mm G Master lens, and honestly you can punch in, punch out of different shots, and because it has a aperture of 2.8, it has a nice little blur out in the background effect. So you see right now there's a lot of blur here. That's because the current lens I'm using has such a low aperture, so it can actually let more light in, get that nice kind of, you know, dramatic cinematic effect. The lens that you're seeing right now is a Sony 1.4 50mm G Master lens. This is really perfect for this ideal situation when you have a portrait or a headshot. These lenses are so incredibly sharp and give such a nice crisp effect. So the third lens in the arsenal is actually a 1.8 14mm Sony G Master lens. This is an ultra wide lens, but it's so wide, it's amazing for if you're outdoors trying to capture landscape, or if you're doing something like a real estate shoot. Absolutely incredible lens, and I highly recommend it. Now when I'm shooting different bits of content, whether I'm outdoors or indoors, the light, especially in Dubai, is extremely bright, so we tend to use ND filters from Peter McKinnon's lineup. I have 2. The first one is the 2 to 5 stop and the second is the 6 to 9 stop, and all these do is they screw onto the lens, and they only work with the 82mm lenses. Otherwise you need something called a step up ring, or you have to go ahead and change and buy the Peter McKinnon 67mm editions, which is for the smaller lenses like this one right here, you can go ahead and basically add those to your lenses, and it just simply stops the amount of light coming into the camera, and that allows you to retain things like your shutter speed, your aperture at the levels that you would want, and that way you don't compromise on your video quality. So I've already introduced you to the Shure SM7B, but when I'm running and gunning with different cameras, we have a few different mics to choose from. Now, starting off with the Sony shotgun mic, the ECM B1M. This mic is an incredible versatile microphone. It's a shotgun mic, which essentially means wherever you aim it, it's going to basically get the audio from that direction. And you can also make it bi-directional or a bit omnidirectional, where you can actually go ahead and sort of select from, you know, around you. If you've got a camera like the A7S, which supports something called a hot shoe, it literally just clicks in and it's already connected. You don't need an additional auxiliary wire or anything. Now, before I had that mic, I actually had another Sony wireless mic, the ECM W2BT, and this was a great addition as well. However, I personally wouldn't recommend this because there's better options now. There's the DJI mic. There's also a couple of different options in the market, such as the Rode mics. Now, either of the mics I've mentioned, you can actually go ahead and connect a lav mic. So these are the little string mics that can go ahead and hide behind your shirt, and then they clip in and you get a nice clean audio signal from a hidden source, right? As opposed to getting a nice big microphone attached to you, right? So this is why I highly recommend having a lav mic. Very simple, and it does the trick. Now, every now and then I like to actually change it up a little bit. Well, now what I mean by that is I will go ahead and actually close the laptop and connect it to a dock. Now, our amazing friends over at Oscrono actually sent over this awesome dock. Now, the first thing that I noticed when I unboxed this was it was made from a high quality alloy, which perfectly matches the MacBook. And also it has two Thunderbolt 4 ports. However, with this, it's so nice because all you simply do is slide the MacBook in and it instantly will connect to two of your 4 ports on your MacBook, but you also get 140 watts fast charging. So if you are looking for a lovely, beautiful dock to go ahead and match your setup, I would highly recommend Oscrono. And of course, we can't forget about the 100K YouTube plaque. Now, we're actually at 252K, I believe, at the time of this recording. So if you're watching this, go ahead and comment down below if we've gone ahead and hit new milestones since then and you're coming back to this video. But I want to mention as well, that is something that I always will look at, and it sits on my shelf all the time. And it's just such a nice little reminder as to how you can go ahead and reach your dreams and potential from zero. For me, I remember when I first thought about that YouTube plaque, it was such a big, you know, distance away, but I had the belief inside of me that we were gonna hit it. So again, thank you to all of you guys. I can't wait to get the 1,000,000 plaque. So if you're watching this already and you haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do that for the YouTube algorithm. So there we have it for the desk setup tour. However, we aren't finished just yet. The desk setup tour is one element of my life. However, I am actually always on the go. So I wanted to add a bonus chapter in here to go ahead and explain how I travel and basically carry around all my gear whenever I'm on the move. Now, starting off, my first go-to for my team is the amazing products by the guys over at Harbour London. Harbour London have sent over some beautiful accessories, including their commuter backpack, which is actually awesome. They've got a nice, beautiful slot for the MacBook Pro inside. A Lark water bottle can fit inside, and the iPad. There you go. Everything fits in that perfect backpack. So it's a really nice aesthetic backpack to go ahead and use. And in addition, they sent over a lovely MacBook Pro leather sleeve. Now, this is my go-to whenever I go ahead and take my laptop anywhere. It's got a really nice felt lining inside, and the leather itself is a very high quality. So I will go ahead and always pack my MacBook up in there, make sure it's protected, and then I will put it inside of a bag. Now, speaking of bags, I have 3 go-to bags. If I'm working at a cafe or remote for the day, I will simply grab my Louis Vuitton bag, and it's basically a rucksack. It's got a lovely slot for my MacBook Pro in the back, and it has tons of room in the front to go ahead and fit whatever you need in. So a lot of the times in Dubai, I will go to a pool or I'll go to a remote cafe, and I'll basically just work from that backpack. Now, if I'm traveling anywhere abroad, I will actually go ahead and grab my LV hodl bag. So again, I stuck with Louis Vuitton here because I found a limited edition item, and I'm not usually a fan of a lot of the big prints just because it's a designer brand. I really liked it because it was a limited edition monogram and it was such a nice gray color. So I went ahead and picked this up up the minute I saw it. This bag fits a ton of stuff inside of it and it retains its shape really well. So I personally am a huge fan of this bag. Now, if I ever need that extra bit of professionalism and I need to take my cameras, my iPad, my MacBook, and a couple of lenses as well, my absolute go-to is the Nomatic Cross Peter McKinnon camera pack. And in fact, I've actually got the 35-liter pack with the extra bundles, which means that it comes with all the different separators inside. And I promise you, this bag is absolutely incredible. Right now, I've got loads of things in it, but I tend to basically clear this out. I separate everything inside of the bag. Honestly, be able to pack so much into this one bag that I can go ahead and use. It even has a nice little storage unit on the side for my Peak Design tripod, which is a carbon fiber Peak Design tripod, and it fits perfectly into the Nomatic backpack. The protection is there, everything that you need is there. It was actually the first bag I bought before I bought any of those other bags. And again, well done to Peter McKinnon for the ND filters and the backpacks, absolutely crushing it with the useful tech. Okay, so something we haven't mentioned is actually the Peak District tripod. So this is a carbon fiber tripod, and it's perfect for a few reasons. One, it fits in my Peter McKinnon Nomatic backpack, literally slots in the side. This thing is super light, so it's amazing. I've even attached some easy tags here, so I've got these on a couple of my cameras. It can clip on to things really easily. But this is really handy because it's got a bunch of different attachments on it. It's got a little Allen key if you need to make adjustments. It's got a phone holder underneath here, so this actually pops out and this can hold your phone. And it's got a nice little plates on the top. So what I tend to do is I buy Arca Swiss plates, so I can easily swap out all my top panels fairly easily. So on my cameras, everything just clicks easily. But yeah, this thing gets pretty tall. It's pretty much as tall as me, and definitely a recommended purchase. It's a bit on the pricey side, but I would say if you're looking for a solid tripod, this is the ultimate Peak Design carbon fiber tripod to go for. Guys, so we actually had one more impulsive decision that I made. I've been deciding this for a while, and I finally pulled the trigger. It's actually, I blame the guy behind the camera right now, Jay, it's his fault. I blame him on the camera. But you can see we actually picked up a DeLonghi Prima Donna Elite Experience. Unbelievably good. Like, this is like, so I actually really like Arabica coffee. So if you didn't know, I'm a huge fan of Arabica. So I actually popped these inside the coffee machine at the top. And I'm a sucker for espresso shots. So when I'm coding, when I'm working, I try to keep it as good as I can be, like not to have too much coffee, and 4 o'clock is my absolute cut-off time. But I always go and sneak in a couple of double espressos, and it's fully automatic. That means there's no like grinder action, all of that stuff. I want to spend time there, not figuring out how to make a perfect espresso. Sick. And this thing is even a cup warmer, so pretty cool. Yeah. So with that, guys, we've come to an end of the desk setup tour. I hope you've enjoyed this just as much as I have making it, but it's been a big video coming for a long time. And I want to say that firstly, just because I have acquired all of the tech that I've shown in this video over time, it does not mean that you need the same to succeed. They simply just enhance my experience that little bit more every time I kind of added in these little tools. So I hope that makes sense to you. And if it does, and you've enjoyed this video, drop a comment down below what your favorite part of the desk setup tour was. And if you want to see any additional extras or any additional things on the channel about my setup, then feel free to let me know and I'll make a video. And I want to mention as well, none of this would have been possible without the Papa fam and without the support of you guys. So thank you so much. As always, guys, I'm going to be making sure to drop more and more fire content just like this. So smash the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.